Hi girlfriends! The weekends go by so fast, don't they? I'm in the process of cleaning my refrigerator, and so I decided to make some quiche today. I'll be using some baby kale. Instead of onions, I'll be using some leeks, and I'll also be using some sliced mushrooms. You know, there's been a recall on some of the onions. I don't know what state you live in, but here in Maryland, there's a recall on some of the red and yellow onions. And sometimes it's kind of hard to tell the name of the producer or, who puts out the onions. And because a lot of times I buy onions, singly, one at a time. And if there's no label on it, it's kind of hard to tell where they came from. So to be on the safe side today, I've decided to just use, a leek. And leeks are in the onion family too. They taste just as good. It gives it more of a kick as far as like flavor goes. But anyway, I'll show you how to do that. To start off, I'm going to be also showing you how I make my dough for the quiche. So everybody, I'm going to wash my hands and let's get started. To make my dough, I'm going to start off with about 2 1/4 cups of flour, and I'm going to be putting this in a food processor. So that's 1, and I've got 2, and then where's my 1/4 cup? Here it is. I got this in here. I'm going to be putting some butter in it. About 1.5 sticks or so. I'll add the rest as I go along. Tablespoon of sugar. A teaspoon of kosher salt, and you need to have some ice water. Get that out the freezer, which I will be adding a little bit at a time as I do this dough. Put the top on. Okay, and you want to pulse it until it makes a dough, like a mealy dough. I'm trying to show you the outside, well, the inside as well. And you just pulse it a little bit. I'm going to be adding my butter to it. Oh, I wish there was a way I could show this to you a little better. Okay. Adding some more butter. Pulse it a little bit more. Add some more butter. I'm going to use up all of this butter in this dough. See how nice and mealy it's getting? I'm going to add a little bit more cold water. And pulse it together. how it's starting to come together inside? That's what I want. That's what I want. I'm going to add some flour to my board because I want to start spreading it out. This is what your dough will look like. It's nice and cold. I think this is enough for probably 2 quiches, but I'm only going to use half of it. But this is what you do. You see how it is? I'm going to cut this in half, and then I'm going to roll it out. I have the flour on my board because I don't want it to stick to the board. Add a little bit more flour. Now I'm going to start rolling. Put a little bit of the flour on your rolling pin and start rolling this. Roll from the center out, and you want it nice and thin. This isn't a very big board, but I'm limited with kitchen space, so I gotta do what I gotta do. I just keep turning it around. Pick it up. Gonna roll it out some more. Still rolling it out as thin as I can, because this needs to go into a baking dish. So what I'm gonna do now, put a little more flour on my roller, and I'm going to try, let's see if this works. And put your dough onto the rolling pin and try to roll it up like this. See? I hope it will unroll back in my dish. Okay, this is my baking dish. And then I'm going to take the dough I'm going to place it into the pie plate. It does not have to be perfect. Don't worry about it, because you can modify it as you go along. Just take all your extra dough and try to make sure that you have enough on the top and the sides, because once I do that, I'm going to use a fork to try to pretty it up a little bit. You put your dough in the areas that are the thinnest, because you don't want any holes in it. But as you can see, now I'm going to take a fork, because I have all my dough on my dish. The handle's right there. Don't want to cover those up. But you just go around just like this. I want to kind of pretty up the dish. So I'm going to take a fork and lightly go around like this. You can use a fork, or you can do something like this, where you take your finger and go like this all the way around. You could do it like that too. Sort of like an in-out around the pie plate. See, that's pretty too. And I'm going to continue to do this all the way around. I don't want to have too much extra hanging over the pie plate. See? Just pinching it a little bit like that. I'm going to redo these because I seem to like the pinch better than the forks print. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. So I said I was going to use some aluminum foil to line the pie plate, but I had to get creative because I'm out of aluminum foil. So what I've decided to do is get creative and use some coffee line liners. You know, the filters that you use when you're making coffee. So that's what I'm going to do. You want to overlap it, because I don't want my crust to burn either. So I'll just put a couple more of these in. And then I'm going to put my dried black beans in here. Because we want to get the crust a little brown. This is perfect. So I'm going to put this in the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. And then I'll take it out. Oh, one more thing. Before you put it in, you should also, I forgot to, it's called docking, where you put the holes in the bottom of the dough so it won't buckle up. So instead of taking all of this out, I'm just going to go through it and put some holes in the dough. There we go, just like that. This keeps it from bubbling up as well. Yep, I think that's good enough. So that's the magic of cooking. When you don't have something, you have to improvise. I'm going to put this in the oven for about, as I said, 20 to 25 minutes. And then we'll start on the inside, the filling of the quiche. So here you can see the vegetables that I'm going to be using. Remember I was telling you about the leeks. Well, I cut them up and they come out looking like ribbons. As I said, you don't use the green part that's on the top. I found some asparagus as well. So I got asparagus in here. I have some baby kale in here. And I've rinsed them all off. I also, as you can see, I have some mushrooms that I'm going to be using. And my seasonings that I plan to use are some thyme leaves, some Italian spice, some lemon pepper, a little bit of nutmeg. And so we'll get started with this shortly. I've taken the quiche dough, it's cooked, out of the oven. I'm going to set it to the side so I can get ready to make the filling. I'm going to start off with a little bit of, I have some extra virgin olive oil. And I'm going to let this pan get heated up. And to that, I'm going to add the vegetables that I was talking about. The leeks, some asparagus, some mushrooms, and some baby kale. So let's get these into the pan. Look how nice and green they look. And along with that, I'm going to also put some mushrooms in here as well. They don't take a long time to cook, this mixture of the vegetables. Still looking nice and green. Smells great too. I'm going to take these off the stove and I'm going to put them to the side and start on my custard. Now we'll do the custard part. I have about 5 extra large eggs. I'll crack them and put them into the bowl. Oops. Okay, I'm gonna whisk those out. Next, I'm going to add about 1.25 cups of half and half. You can use cream too, light cream, but this is what I have, so this is what I'm using. Let me whisk that up. I'm going to put a little bit of, about 1/4 teaspoon of salt in there. You don't want to use too much salt because the cheese has salt in it. So put some of that in there. And also about 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. We got that in there. I'm going to add some Italian spice. This part, I think, of when you're building your custard, you can put whatever flavors that you want to put in it. I mean, if you're just doing a basic quiche, you can use fresh herbs. I don't have any on hand. So as I said, I'm using what I have. But it is to whatever your liking is. I got some lemon pepper I'm putting in here. Anything else? Oh, I got some thyme. Let me put a little bit of thyme in there as well. All right. whisk this up. A little bit of this on the bottom. I have some Italian blend. This is like 5 cheeses. And I'll put this on next. Once I open the package. All right. And I have some Parmesan shredded cheese. Add that in the mix as well. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add my veggies in. Let's spread them out. This smells so good, I'll tell you. Next, I'm going to add my custard in. To which I'll be adding some more cheese. I love cheese. That's why I was saying you really don't need to put, you know, a lot of salt in this because the cheese has plenty of it in it. Look at this. This is so pretty. And I had one more cheese, right? Yeah. I'm going to sprinkle the top a little bit more with some Italian spice. And now I'm going to put this in the oven for about a 350-degree oven for about, I would say, 30-35 minutes or so. And here it is after 30-35 minutes. We have your vegetable quiche that has the baby kale, mushroom, asparagus, and leeks in it. Oh my goodness. It's very easy. It does not take a long time to make. You just need to have a little bit of patience with it. Especially if you're making your dough. I mean, you can get a store pie crust, but I prefer making it myself. So after 35 minutes, that was the result that you got. I'm tasting some. It's good. It's got like a little bit of salt, but not overpowering, you know what I mean? The creaminess of the cheese. You gotta make this. Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you next week. Until then, stay safe. Bye.